Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. This is the first takeaway with Tay and Ren. We just witnessed the Packers fall to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round here on Saturday night. The Packers lost 21 to 24. I've got Ren on the comlinks. We're doing a little bit of a different setup tonight, so it might sound a little different, but that's all right. We're coming to you this after the raw loss, the disappointing loss. Yeah, Ren, that's a little disappointing to me. It's kind of crushing actually because of I don't know, over the last week expectations have risen a little bit higher than what they maybe should have been in in our hearts. But now falling in this devastating loss, I think because they played a tough game against the 49ers. And it wasn't their best football tonight, and they left a lot on the field. So, you can't really point anything at that last interception, but there were a lot of things that did happen during this game that could have gone the Packers' way. Some calls, some spots of the ball, interceptions that we could have gotten, but in the end, it's just we couldn't get it done. They went the extra mile in the last several minutes to take us out basically, and it's really kind of hard to swallow a little bit because of where we were, what we were in position to do, and what we were capable of. So I honestly I think I said to myself before this game started that I was okay with any outcome, and honestly, I was fooling myself a little bit. So I'm a little disappointed. It was energizing. This game was a roller coaster at times, but in a week, maybe days, I don't know. I will feel differently, I'm sure, but right now I just feel like a gut wrenching loss here because I know what's possible. This team had it for a little while, and it's now their flame has been extinguished almost like an instant. In the last 2 minutes, it's like poof, you're done, go home. It's like I wasn't ready for that, so kind of just a little gut wrenching. But I'll let you take over for a little bit and discuss how you're feeling.
Yeah, Tay, I mean, I kind of like you lied to myself that, if you lose to San Francisco, it's okay. What a hell of a year for this group to come together and play the way they were, and what it's been like playoffs really. The last 4 weeks or so, just in that vibe, in that mindset, and they were, and obviously had a lead, you know, deep into this ball game. I think San Francisco is the better team all year. I don't necessarily think the better team today won, Tay. This is a tough one. Again, there's been so many tough losses for the Packers in the playoffs. And now we get our first one with Jordan. And, you saw so much left on the field. And sure, you could point the fingers at Anders Carlson as a problem. Got to make that field goal. But you also can say you go into the red zone 3 times in the first half and you come out with 6 points. I mean, they just tightened up so bad, and a couple, Savage drop pick six, another drop interception that Nixon should have had that you mentioned. You go down, Aaron Jones breaks out that long run, and you're like, they're cooking with gas, and then they can't continue to move that football, run that clock, and ultimately have a legendary drive where it ends in a touchdown. I was thinking that in my mind. I'm like, let's go. Let's have a legendary drive here. And again, this comes back to a lot of things that went wrong in this game that could have led ultimately to the Packers playing in the championship game next week, Tay, because they really played well enough to be there. And you know, everybody was struggling. The elements certainly played a part tonight, no doubt. That rain was tough. It was tough throwing the football for both guys at times. Obviously, it seemed a little harder for Brock throwing the football in that weather. I know he's got smaller hands than Jordan, but it's just tough, Tay, when you saw your football team, our football team, really play. And what a hell of a performance by the defense, too. Really play and keep everything in front of them for the most part all night long. And again, you can point to some things where they didn't execute as a young football team, and they need to win games of that magnitude. But it's another, put it in our annals of our mind. We're feeling pretty crappy about it right now because we should. That's a team that could have and should have won that football game today. And you're going to hear great things like, oh, that Packer team, played real hard. Good on them. And what a great season. Again, we're going to get that. But this is a game they should have won today. And yeah, we fooled ourselves in saying it didn't matter because we thought maybe the Niners are just going to kind of comfortably control this game in our mind, throughout the course, and the Packers might keep it a little interesting. And no, the Packers kept it more than interesting. They kind of handled the Niners for most of that game, did what they needed to do, time of possession most of the game, and just staying there and ready to, move on. And they didn't ultimately.
Yeah, they were a match for this Niners team, which was the number 1 seed in the NFC. And man, that's something. And this, it's frustrating because that they had a lot more to show and a lot more to do, and they could have played a better game. There was definitely some mistakes there. I'll just say this won't be the last time we say it, and we've talked about it several dozens of times in the last year about Anders Carlson. Like, I think the decision to go young and cheap at that position now has really burned you, and it was wrong. They should not have done that, and we've talked about it. How for a while he was doing great, but he kept missing some PATs, and now he misses a field goal, and it cost them games. I'm sorry, but that's just that's to me that's unacceptable. I'm sick of that. Like, if you had Mason in there, I almost guarantee that would have been in. So that's just disappointing to see this come up again when this team's fighting and pulling it together, and you went young. You went young and inexperienced at the kicker position, and it's come back to bite you. So, I will continue to say that decision is wrong, and it clearly had an effect on today's game. But this is gonna take a little time, Ren, to come around to where we will be, as in saying this team is young. They went farther than we thought. There shouldn't be any shouldn't have been expectations to make us so emotional like we are right now. But yeah, we're Packers fans. I mean, this is nuts. Like, we witness this time and time again, and we get another loss like this. It's just it sucks because you were right. The Packers did seem like they were the better team, and they should have won. So, we're left with going home, and this happens every year. I'm just not interested in watching football. It's going to be a struggle for me to watch tomorrow, the Lions game, or anything like that. So it's like, it's disappointing. The way we go out all the time is just disappointing. But
I think Tay, if I may interject,
yeah,
I think
go
it's just
ahead.
hard. I think it's hard because we saw it with Aaron and the young crew in 2010, and then all those years pass, and a lot of things come up season to season. That sometimes you're just playing really well at a time, and this team was. Sometimes these things come together, and you just hope you didn't miss an opportunity that was that this team could have had, and they seemed to be ready to take it.
True.
Just couldn't live through that last big moment and pull it off.
Right, because
and that's what makes it so devastating is you don't know. I mean, Jordan gets injured, late in the season next year, and poof, there goes the season. Things like that can and do happen in the NFL, and that's why you want to keep riding those hot waves when you have them, because that could lead to something big. And unfortunately, they let some big moments overtake them today, and it's unfortunate. And certainly you're not wrong. Anders Carlson does deserve some of the blame, but so do the Packers, and on an offense perspective as well. You gotta cash in on some of those, especially when you're playing a team of that ilk. You got to make the most of it.
Right now, you're going to hear, well, Packers fans, you should be fine with what happened here. You should be okay. Like, this is a young team. This is just the start. This is the beginning of something. But like you said, something can happen next year with some of these key players that we have, even on offense or defense, that sends you on a trajectory that isn't so good anymore, and you don't get into the playoffs. So, yeah, you got to ride this wave while you have it. And man, it was ripe. It was ripe, and that's why it's just so disappointing to see this opportunity evaporate, extinguish so quickly. Just in the waning minutes of this game, it's just like you were right there. You were right there. So, yeah, it disappointed Ren, but we'll pick ourselves out of the dirt here, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, at least we get a Sunday to kind of get off the mat, Tay, because, and hey, all things being equal and healthy in the future, this young team sure does have a lot in front of them. Put it
Yeah.
that way.
Well, we appreciate you guys listening to the first takeaway. Ren, thanks for joining me tonight. We'll be back this week to discuss this more in detail, but right now, yeah, our heads are low, our hearts are heavy, and it's disappointing because of the way they played and what they left on the field and what they were capable of. So appreciate everyone listening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and hope you bounce back maybe quicker than we do.
Good night, universe.
Good night, universe.